Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Jennifer Lindgren. Elmira's police chief is raising the alarm about unregulated firearms in the community. Big Fox's Matt Kleindens spoke with the chief about what ghost guns are and the dangers they pose.
Good evening. Elmira Police Chief Anthony Alvarez tells me they've recovered a handful of these ghost guns in recent times. What makes these guns particularly dangerous is that they're untraceable, and no matter the sophistication, they are still very deadly. As communities across the state work to curb violent crime, the Elmira Police recently came upon a weapon that's becoming more popular in the streets: ghost guns.
We have acquired one, but I know that recently, but I know in the past 2 years we've run across several others. I want to say around the area 5.
Ghost guns are a name given to homemade weapons and are typically made with the help of 3D printers and other gun parts. Because they are made without a serial number, Police Chief Anthony Alvarez says that makes it more difficult to be tracked down by police.
It may take a while for that particular weapon to even hit our radar, and then when it does, it's hard to track where it's been used before.
Chief Alvarez says the quality of the ghost guns can vary depending on how it's made. He says even the lowest quality weapons are still capable of injuring or killing people.
And they are real firearms. There's no split hairs here. I mean, you don't need to have, say, Smith & Wesson printed on the outside of it for it to be a firearm.
Chief Alvarez says the Elmira police are working on grassroots efforts to keep all illegal weapons off the city streets.
We have to keep up. We have to do our interdiction stops, field interviews, and, just basically boots on the ground is what's necessary.
Matt Kleindens, Big Fox, WYDC in Elmira.
Cornell University is changing its COVID alert level to yellow after a recent spike in cases. In a letter to campus, Cornell attributed the spike to increased social gatherings and the emergence of the BA.2 subvariant. The university is asking students and faculty to take extra precautions by wearing masks in public spaces. However, the campus guidelines are voluntary. People are flocking to gas stations across Chicago and its suburbs to fill up their tanks with free fuel. Businessman Willie Wilson donated a total of $1 million worth of free gas. The goal is to help those struggling to keep up with the rising prices. Drivers will get up to $50 in free gas at 48 participating stations. The gas will be given away until the $1 million donation runs out. You may remember last week, Wilson gave away $200,000 in gas. That giveaway caused massive gridlock in the city, so Wilson worked with local officials in an effort to keep traffic to a minimum. President Biden is in Brussels as he reiterates the United States' commitment to NATO and its allies. Alexis McAdams tells us the commander-in-chief also presented fresh sanctions on Russia, as well as additional aid to Ukraine.
President Biden kicked off his high-stakes visit to Europe with this photo op, posing alongside NATO leaders in Brussels on Thursday. The president got right to business, attending emergency summits with members of NATO and the European Union. All members agreed to further support Ukraine in their defense against Russian forces.
We will invest $320 million to bolster democratic resilience and defend human rights in Ukraine and neighboring countries.
The Biden administration also imposed new sanctions on Russia Thursday. These sanctions will target more than 400 Russian elites and politicians with close ties to Russian President Vladimir Putin. President Biden and members of NATO also warning Russia will pay a hefty price if they resort to chemical warfare in Ukraine.
It will be a blatant violation of international law, and it will have widespread consequences.
All this as the humanitarian crisis in Ukraine gets worse by the day. Millions of people have fled overwhelming countries along NATO's eastern flank. The White House now says they will allow as many as 100,000 refugees fleeing Ukraine to enter the U.S. and will explore a number of legal pathways to streamline that process.
This is an international responsibility. The United States is the leader.
People are flocking to gas stations across Chicago and its suburbs to fill up their tanks with free fuel. Businessman Willie Wilson donated a total of $1 million worth of free gas. The goal is to help those struggling to keep up with the rising prices. Drivers will get up to $50 in free gas at 48 participating stations. The gas will be given away until the $1 million donation runs out. You may remember last week, Wilson gave away $200,000 in gas. That giveaway caused massive gridlock in the city, so Wilson worked with local officials in an effort to keep traffic to a minimum. 7 children are hospitalized after overdosing on sleeping pills in Virginia. It happened Wednesday night in Hopewell, just outside Richmond. Police say all the children were under 8 years old and were left home alone for a short period of time. During that time, one of the kids apparently gave the others their prescription medication. A caregiver arrived home to find the kids overdosing. 4 kids, ages 1, 2, 3, and 4, were found unresponsive by police. 3 others were awake but lethargic.
They were left unsupervised for a short period of time, and one of the kids that has a prescription medication got into his prescription medication and shared it with the other children here.
I'm sorry. It's very emotional.
The current conditions of the children are not known. It's also unclear if all the kids are related. Police have called Child Protective Services to help with the investigation. Plenty of brackets busted in this year's NCAA basketball tournaments, but this year's March Madness is also the first in which athletes can also win big off the court. Matt Napolitano reports.
From St. Peter's Cinderella run in the men's bracket to a record-setting win by South Carolina women's hoops, March Madness is living up to its name this year. Beyond the madness, student athletes are making big money for the first time thanks to a Supreme Court ruling paving the way for them to profit off their name, image, and likeness, also known as NIL rights. Influencer marketing platform #Paid says after years of seeing no returns, basketball players are raking in millions of dollars through deals, endorsements, and other business endeavors. Gonzaga men's star Drew Timme and his famed facial hair teamed up with Dollar Shave Club for a March Madness campaign.
And as a result, the chin's incredibly smooth.
Hey, how's it going?
While fast food spot Wingstop paired up with 11 different women's hoops players who cover, you guessed it, the wing position. Now, more than ever, student athletes are taking advantage of making a name for themselves not only on the court, but also online and on TV as well. Hoops is a hot commodity. According to data from Open Doors, men's and women's basketball players accounted for roughly 1/3 of all NIL compensation for the month of February. In New York, Matt Napolitano, Fox News.
We have your complete forecast right after this break.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
All right, thanks again for checking in as we take a look at your local forecast. Hopefully you had a good Thursday. Taking a look at a radar and satellite picture when the sun was up earlier in the day. We had a mixture of clouds and sun, definitely cloudier off to the east, but heading into the second half of the week, we're going to stay somewhat unsettled. Into the weekend as well, rain, snow chance, and even some minor accumulations. So we'll talk about all the details here as we get through your forecast. Again, tonight there could be a few showers kind of off and on. Temperatures will be falling through the 40s, and by early Friday morning we'll be hovering around that 40-degree mark, which will be above average by almost 15 degrees. 7:01 is your sunrise, and then a daytime high of 49, which is a little bit closer to the average of 48 now, and then 7:24 is our sunset. So again, a couple of isolated showers tonight. Another clipper is expected to roll in later Friday, and then because of that system, we may have some cooler air settling on in behind that, and then enough cold air for some rain and snow chances Saturday, maybe even into Saturday night with some minor accumulations, and then another chance of rain and snow by Wednesday of next week. So we're still going to be a little bit unsettled even as we approach the end of the month here. So again, clouds thickening up throughout the day. This is a look at our forecast model from the early morning hours of Friday into the, again, day on Friday. Some of the showers working off to the east. And as I mentioned, we could be seeing that changeover to a little bit of snow potentially later into this upcoming weekend. Saturday, late afternoon, evening, some minor snowfall accumulations possible in some of the prone locations, especially in the higher terrain. So that's what we'll be continuing to monitor. But through 7 p.m., as the showers work through again tonight and also later in the day Friday, we could be talking about maybe some quarter to maybe third-inch total liquid amounts, especially off to the south and east near Binghamton and places to the south of that. 39 degrees tonight, some scattered showers, southeasterly winds fairly light at around 5 miles per hour, and our average overnight low is 26. So again, above that mark in many spots, but not expecting a ton of precipitation really to the north and west. 38 degrees in Wayland. We will top out at 51 in Elmira Corning on Friday. That will be above average by at least a couple to a few degrees. West to southwesterly winds at around 5 to 10 or 15 miles per hour. And around the region here, temperatures into the upper 40s near Westfield and Wellsboro. As we head to the north, again, you can see a little bit more of the lower 50 mark near Ithaca and Binghamton. Saturday, daytime highs cooling off a little more. This is when we might start to introduce some of that snow shower chance. Again, Saturday late in the day and into Sunday, temperatures really falling. Scattered snow showers possible with those temperatures hovering around that freezing mark. 28 degrees on Monday, lingering light snow showers. Temperatures in the morning down into the teens.
Disturbing video provided by the Salt Lake City Police Department shows two separate incidents of on-duty police officers assaulted while patrolling the airport. John Franchi takes a look at what police describe as a troubling trend.
More than 20 years since 9/11, the threat of terrorism at airports is still very real, especially for law enforcement. That's why their job here is so important. But more and more, they're becoming targets.
Nothing that I would ever expect or have to have one of my officers go through.
Every day, officers patrol every inch of Salt Lake International. They never expect passengers to do this. On March 12th, a man who police say was not a ticketed passenger and had no business at the airport sucker punched an officer. He appears ready to throw another when he surrenders.
Who are you?
Court documents show John Beta was arrested and charged with a federal crime. The incident isn't isolated. In February, a man who investigators say did not have a ticket tried to get by security agents.
Hands behind your back!
The man fought with an officer in a struggle that lasted several minutes.
Stop resisting. Give us your other hand right now.
Another passenger stepped in to help. Eventually, the suspect was arrested.
Hands behind your back.
He too faces federal charges.
I need backup. Shut up.
It shows his hands up, towards his body. We don't know if he was going for a gun or brought some other device in. Thank goodness he did not. But those things are very real concerns at an international airport.
Give me your hand now. Give your hand. Give us your hand.
Salt Lake City Police say in 2021, citywide, these incidents resisting arrest and assaulting officers increased more than 16%, and there isn't an explanation as to why.
It just could be the times we're in right now, but this loss of civility and this unlawfulness really needs to stop.
Sir, you're going to walk with that. Don't cause any problem, okay?
Captain Stephen Bennett says the restraint and the ability of officers to de-escalate the incident speaks to their training.
Both had head strikes, which clearly, shook them up, but they, were still able to keep it together and act in a professional manner.
845, we just had a male just come up and attack 852 from behind.
Reasons why he believes that Salt Lake Airport is still one of the safest in the world.
I would bet my life on.
And thankfully, all the officers involved in these incidents only suffered minor injuries. They met with Chief Mike Brown and are back on the job here today. Reporting at Salt Lake International, John Franchi, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Google is letting Spotify offer its own billing, and Wall Street bonuses hit a new record last year. CJ Papa has today's business briefs.
The CEOs from U.S. airlines asking the Biden administration to ditch the mask mandates for planes and airports. The chiefs of American, United, and Delta sending a letter also asking that testing requirements for international travelers coming to the U.S. be dropped. The federal rule has been extended to April 18th despite the CDC easing mask guidance for most indoor settings. The Biden administration set to renew tariff exemptions for 352 categories of goods from China. Some items on the list are bicycle parts, electric motors, machinery, chemicals, seafood, and duffel bags. This is an extension of tariffs imposed under the Trump administration, which covered more than $350 billion a year worth of trade. Tariffs are paid by U.S. companies. Spotify reaching a deal with Google to offer an alternative payment method within its app for users. It's the most significant concession so far for a major mobile app store to allow third-party billing systems inside apps. Later this year, Spotify users will be allowed to choose between its alternative payment method and Google's own, which takes as much as a 30% share of revenue. And Wall Street bonuses jumping 20% last year, with the average bonus coming in at $257,500. Some of the biggest names like Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan booking huge profits. 2021 also saw record levels of deal-making, IPOs, and trading activity. For more stories, log on to foxbusiness.com. In New York, I'm CJ Papa.
Washington, D.C.'s famous flowers, the cherry blossoms, are in full bloom, letting everyone know spring is in full swing, while serving as a message of hope and prosperity. Ashley Strohmeyer has more.
I feel like D.C. is kind of thriving again.
It's that time of year. Washington, D.C.'s iconic cherry blossoms are back in peak bloom. As the National Cherry Blossom Festival gets underway, now running until April 17th, drawing out tourists and locals to witness the immense beauty and capture stunning pictures.
That's his favorite thing in the world, is to be outside.
And the star of the show.
But these trees scattered along some of the nation's most important monuments didn't happen by accident. 3,000 of them were given to the city as a gift from the mayor of Tokyo 110 years ago. And officials at the National Cherry Blossom Festival say that global sense of civility is critical, especially as conflicts like the war in Ukraine continue to escalate.
Spring and the festival, just like the trees, are a sign of hope and renewal. And the gift that was a goodwill from Tokyo to Washington, D.C. represents peace and international friendship. And that's what we should be celebrating more than ever right now.
Meanwhile, these blossoms pack huge significance for tourists seeing them for the first time after 2 years of COVID-19 restrictions.
Seeing the cherry blossoms during this, first big, post-COVID pandemic trip is like just a cherished gem.
If you can't make it to the Capitol to see these spectacular trees, festival officials are encouraging everyone to do petal porches, where you can decorate your home in cherry blossom themes and post your pics on social media. Ashley Strohmeyer, Fox News.
We're 4 days into spring, and that means we're also in peak allergy season. With all those trees, flowers, and grasses bursting open to life, more pollen is being produced this time of year than ever before. According to doctors from Yale University, there are 2 factors which could make this season much worse than last year's. First, climate change brings warmer temperatures, increasing pollen production. In addition, wearing masks intended to reduce the spread of COVID last year also reduced the amount of pollen and other allergens we breathed in. It seems eating some cranberries every day will keep the doctor away. New research conducted by King's College London says eating just 100 grams of cranberries each day can greatly improve cardiac functioning in healthy men by strengthening blood vessels and heart function. The study also shows that the benefits appear almost immediately. Benefits were also discovered when some participants took cranberry powder. Researchers at the University of Las Vegas discovered a new form of frozen water that could exist on another planet. They call the ice formation Ice 7T. The scientists say the conditions to create this ice would be hard to find on Earth's surface, but it could be seen on water-rich planets outside of our solar system. Zach Grand, a UNLV graduate student, led the work.
So we know that there is Ice 7 inside the Earth, so likely at higher pressures you're going to find this Ice 7T as well. And it's also going to be inside of large moons and other planets.
The team at UNLV made the discovery and shared their findings in a recently published study. A physicist at UNLV called Grand's discovery the missing piece and said it will help us understand the composition or what planets outside our solar system are made of. We want to leave you with a smile. America, no more bah humbug. A happiness report says you're getting happier. The World Happiness Report uses Gallup World Poll data on how people evaluate their lives and says America is moving on up, climbed into the 16th position out of 146 countries, up 3 spots from last year. The top jolly countries: Finland is king, followed by Denmark, Iceland, Switzerland, and the Netherlands. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your day.